The love of my life left me for being fat and not unto his standard. 2 weeks later came back begging after a reality check, for years. That's how long I loved him. For long years of devotion, comfort, and unwavering support. His name was Brandon. He was charming in that effortless, boyish way that made me fall for him instantly. I met him at a bookstore cafe, of all places. He was thumbing through a copy of The Great Gatsby, pretending to read it, when in reality, he was just waiting for anyone, to notice him. And I did. I smiled, and he flashed that disarming grin. That was it. I was hooked. From that day on, he was in my life. My partner. My man. Or so I thought. We quickly grew close. Brandon moved into my apartment after 6 months. His landlord was raising the rent unfairly, or so he said. I had a decent apartment, a cozy 2-bedroom with a balcony overlooking the park. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I worked hard to afford it. I had a solid job as a marketing associate, pulling in a stable income. Brandon, on the other hand, was always between jobs. He had big dreams, or at least, that's what he told me. He wanted to start a business, something about online fitness coaching. It sounded impressive, so I supported him. I even let him use my laptop, my Wi-Fi, my everything. When his work didn't seem to bring in money, I took care of our bills. I covered groceries, rent, and even the occasional restaurant date, well, more than occasional. I didn't mind at first. I was in love, and in my eyes, love meant sacrifice. It meant holding each other up during the hard times. It meant being someone's rock. I was proud of being that for him. But the cracks started showing eventually. At first, they were subtle. Brandon started making passive comments about my weight. You're cute, babe. You know, if you lost a little, you'd be even hotter. I would laugh it off, pretending it didn't hurt. After all, he would squeeze my hips and kiss me after saying it, making it feel like he was teasing rather than insulting. But over time, his remarks grew crueler. Do you really need that dessert? I mean, you're already struggling with the gym thing. I was just joking, babe. Don't get all sensitive. Soon, he stopped holding back. He'd make mean remarks about my body in front of his friends. He'd smirk when they chuckled uncomfortably. Yeah, Amy's been hitting the snacks hard lately. I might have to hide the fridge. I remember standing in the kitchen one night, gripping the counter, holding back tears as I listened to them laugh. My heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. Yet, I convinced myself he loved me. It was a Wednesday when everything fell apart. I had just gotten home from work, exhausted. I dropped my bag by the door and called out to Brandon. No answer. The apartment felt oddly quiet. I walked into the bedroom, and there he was. Not alone. I froze. My breath hitched. My hands turned clammy. A woman was sprawled across our bed, wearing nothing but a smug smile and my boyfriend's attention. She wasn't just any woman. No. She was Lisa, his ex. The hot one he always subtly compared me to. The one with the perfect body and the seductive charm. The one he swore he was so over long before we even got together. Brandon barely had the decency to look ashamed. In fact, he had the audacity to scoff. Oh, come on, Amy. You can't be surprised. You knew this wasn't working. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened with a combination of rage and heartbreak. Not working? My voice shook with disbelief. I paid your bills. I cooked your food. I let you live here rent-free. And now you're screwing your ex in my bed? Lisa smirked, brushing her hair back casually. Well, technically, it's his bed now. I mean, you're not exactly a keeper, are you? That was it. I felt my hands tremble. Without another word, I turned around, walked out, and slammed the door behind me. My heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The next day, Brandon was gone. When I got home from work, the apartment felt hollow. I walked into the bedroom, only to find half the closet empty. He took his clothes, his sneakers, and my laptop. The one I bought. The one he borrowed for his business plans. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the emptiness. My body ached with betrayal. For years, wasted. My phone buzzed. A text from Brandon. "Hey, babe. Gonna stay at Lisa's for a while. You should probably start thinking about getting over this." The audacity. I didn't cry. I didn't respond. Instead, I did what any woman with a broken heart and a burning sense of betrayal would do. I poured myself a drink, grabbed my laptop, the spare one he didn't take, and started digging. I had access to Brandon's social media accounts. After all, I'd helped him set up his business. As I combed through his messages and emails, the truth began to unravel. He had been using me the entire time. The business? A lie. The job interviews? Fake. The entire 4 years? A con. Brandon and Lisa had been scheming behind my back for months. They had been faking their rich lifestyle by using my money. They flaunted expensive restaurants, luxurious spas, and designer clothes, all paid for with my credit card. 2 weeks had passed since Brandon and Lisa walked out of my life, and I had spent those days in a fog of anger and heartbreak. The betrayal still stung like an open wound, but I was no longer allowing it to bleed me dry. I was determined to heal, to find my footing again. That afternoon, I sat at my favorite cafe, La Belle Brew, a charming little spot with exposed brick walls and large bay windows overlooking the park. It was the kind of place I used to love coming to before my world became all about him. I sat near the window, sipping a hot caramel macchiato, letting the warmth seep into my cold hands. I gazed out at the busy street, watching strangers rush by with their lives intact, lives untainted by betrayal. That was when I heard their names. "Did you hear about Lisa and Brandon?" One woman whispered to another, leaning closer over her iced latte. I stiffened. My hands froze around the ceramic cup. They're total frauds. Turns out they were pretending to be loaded when they were actually broke as hell, she snorted. My ears perked up. I slowly lowered my cup, pretending to be engrossed in my phone while I listened intently. They got evicted from their luxury rental last week. Couldn't even pay the second month's rent. And the car Lisa was showing off? Leased under a fake name, the other woman added, rolling her eyes. They're completely screwed. No money. No place to stay. They're begging people for help now. My chest tightened. I sat still, processing their words. For a moment, I thought I misheard. But no, it was real. The karma I had prayed for was unfolding right before my eyes. I paid for my coffee quickly and rushed home, my heart thudding with a mix of disbelief and excitement. Once I was inside my apartment, I grabbed my laptop and typed their names into the search bar, and there it was, fake power couple exposed, Brandon and Lisa caught faking wealth. I clicked the article with trembling fingers. My eyes devoured every word. The piece described how Brandon and Lisa had built a facade of luxury using other people's money. They had taken out personal loans, maxed out credit cards, and even scammed acquaintances into lending them money by claiming to be running a lucrative online business. In reality, they had no business, no income, and no savings. Just two con artists living large off of deception. Their Instagram pages, once filled with images of expensive brunches, high-end shopping sprees, and vacations, had turned into graveyards of shame. The comments under their old posts were brutal. Wow, fake it till you make it, huh? Guess you didn't make it. Should have spent more time paying bills and less time faking Gucci tags. Broke and heartless. What a combo. My lips curled into a smirk as I scrolled through the backlash. The internet was ripping them apart. But it didn't stop there. A few of Brandon's old clients, people he claimed to be training through his fake fitness business, came forward. They revealed how Brandon had taken deposits for personal coaching plans but never delivered the services. Some were now threatening to take legal action. The cherry on top? Their landlord had taken legal steps to evict them after they defaulted on their rent. Videos of the eviction were circulating online. I clicked on one. There they were, Brandon and Lisa, standing outside the apartment complex with their belongings in trash bags. Lisa was wearing the same designer coat she once flaunted so proudly, the one she claimed was from a luxury boutique. Now, it looked faded and cheap in the glaring daylight. Her sunglasses were tilted crookedly on her face, barely hiding the frustrated tears streaking her cheeks. Brandon, disheveled and unshaven, was arguing with the apartment manager. His once cocky demeanor was reduced to desperation. His voice cracked as he pleaded for just one more chance to pay the rent. "Come on, man. It's just a misunderstanding. We're good for it," he said, trying to play the confident charmer. But the landlord wasn't having it. "No rent, no apartment. Get out," the man spat coldly, before turning his back on them. The camera caught the look of sheer defeat on Brandon's face. His shoulders slumped, and he muttered something to Lisa, who was sobbing into her hands. They were homeless, their glamorous Instagram life gone, their fake luxury exposed. I watched the entire video with a glass of wine in hand, enjoying the poetic justice unfolding before me. With Brandon and Lisa now officially humiliated and homeless, I felt an unshakable sense of liberation. It was as though the weight I had carried for years, the constant belittling, the self-doubt, the heartache, had finally lifted. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I started focusing on myself. I joined a local gym, not to change for anyone, but for me. I hired a personal trainer and started working out 3 times a week. Not because Brandon once made cruel comments about my weight, but because I wanted to feel stronger. With every workout, I felt a piece of my broken heart mend. I cleaned out my apartment. Every trace of Brandon, gone. The shirts he left behind? Tossed. The cologne bottle on the bathroom counter? Trashed. The framed photo of us at the beach? Burned. I even replaced the bedding. I wanted no memory of him lingering in my sanctuary. I bought new furniture, sleek, modern, and stylish. I painted the walls a soothing shade of sage green, filled my home with plants and candles, and turned it into my haven. No longer did I cry over the space where Brandon once laid. Instead, I stretched across the couch with a glass of red wine and a book, reveling in my own company. And then, the calls started coming. First, it was Brandon. One night, my phone buzzed with a familiar number. My stomach nodded, but I smirked as I listened to the voicemail. "Hey, babe. I know I messed up. Things are rough right now. I miss you. Can we talk?" His voice was pitiful, shaky. A far cry from the arrogant man who once mocked me for not fitting his perfect mold. I deleted the voicemail. No response. 2 days later, Lisa messaged me. The audacity. "Hey, Amy. I know things ended badly, but I was wondering if you could help us out. We're in a tight spot. Just until we get back on our feet." I stared at the message, my eyes narrowing. I didn't respond. Instead, I screenshotted the message and sent it to a mutual friend, who promptly shared it online. It went viral. The internet mocked Lisa for her nerve, and people began sharing screenshots of the cruel comments she had once made about me. I felt no guilt. No remorse. I thrived. I started booking trips, solo adventures. I flew to Italy, explored the Amalfi Coast, and drank wine in quaint little villages. I wandered through art galleries in Paris, marveling at Monet's masterpieces. I hiked through Switzerland, breathing in the fresh mountain air. I returned home stronger, brighter, and happier than ever. The last I heard, Brandon and Lisa were still couch hopping, begging old friends for help. No one wanted them. No one cared. Their deception had caught up with them, and they were left with nothing. And me? I had everything. Everything I once gave to them, I now gave to myself. And it was worth more than they ever were.